Hey guys, today's story is about a bad DM that is bad in a new and novel way. Recently, a couple of friends and I went to a small tabletop RPG convention north of our home city. We were all excited, seeing it as our chance to go and try out a bunch of new and different systems in a single day under the tutelage of someone who was already familiar with the system. However, the horror story starts long before the game did. For some reason, the organizers of this event had decided that every game would start at the same time in 3 blocks across the day. All of the advertising for this event claimed it started at 10 a.m. I arrived a little late, at about 10:30, and was surprised to learn that all the games had either filled up or been cancelled already, and that I would have to wait until 3 p.m. for the next one. Bear in mind that this was after driving for an hour and a half to get there. We filled the time by griping, playing a quick improvised game of D&D run by one of my friends, and checking the game schedule for the 3 p.m. block. I spotted a game on the list that I was thrilled to see: Monster of the Week. I suggested to my friends that we sign up for that one together, and the other two, having never played MOTW before, agreed. Monster of the Week, for those who don't know, is a very X-Files, supernatural, Buffy the Vampire Slayer-esque game about being a group of modern-day folks with various abilities, paranormal or otherwise, taking down some big threat, the titular Monster of the Week. A lot of the creative and narrative power is put in the hands of the players, not just the DM. You may remember that the title of this post says something about a bad game of D&D. Indeed, that is what it says, but please note the quotation marks. They are important. When we went to check the sign-up sheet for the game, there was a short description attached. It was basically saying the game was going to be set in the world of Stranger Things. You know, 1980 setting, the Upside Down, etc., etc. Okay, fine, not what I was expecting, nor what I'd really want to play, especially when introducing 2 new players to the game, but it could be palatable in the right hands. And hoo boy, were these not the right hands. When game time came, we found our table, and there was a rather scruffy-looking guy sitting there who welcomed us to the game, and started handing out the playbooks for us to choose from. Playbooks being basically archetypal characters from the genre: the Chosen One, the Crooked, the Monstrous, etc. While we were figuring out which playbook to play, our GM helpfully informed us on an unsettling fact. See, this event had issues with inappropriate GMs in the past, and I actually have an entire other story about that, but that's for another time. So what they've done is handed out a big piece of paper with a large black X on it to each table that anyone can touch if something is getting into deeply uncomfortable territory, and the game has to move past it, no questions asked. The point of games like this is for everyone to have a good time, and the X card is in service of that. Our GM helpfully informed us that he had had the X card pulled on him twice now. In much the same way, someone might tell you that they're a registered sex offender. He explained that one of those times was for
being honest about the age of a Victorian-era prostitute.
His exact words. The worst part is that he sounded almost annoyed about it, as if whoever had been uncomfortable with the idea of underage prostitution shouldn't have been. Despite this, we each took a playbook and started filling them out. Part of character creation is figuring out how your characters know each other already, to eliminate that whole "you meet in an inn" clunky introduction stuff. My one friend, playing a werewolf, decided that he'd gone wild at one point, and my character had calmed him down, and it was up to me to decide how. I joked that I'd just closed a big glass door as he was charging at me, and he just ran into it and KO'd himself. My friend thought that was fine, and had his own suggestions to add to it. But the GM said,
No, he's a werewolf. He just go through a plate glass door. Maybe instead it was transparent aluminum. See, werewolves have 5 forms.
He then went on to completely change everything I said to a completely different situation, keeping only the fact that the werewolf ran into something. I've heard of...
Yes, and...
But this was more of a...
Okay, but...
But fine. Here we go. We all filled out our playbooks. The wrong, the spooky, the monstrous, and myself, the mundane. Many jokes were had about a middle-aged accountant hanging out with a bunch of monster hunters. I even had a minivan to transport the demon. We're all ready for a fun game of Monster of the Week. And then the game began.
Okay, you're all in the court of Sir Tristan. You've been in his castle before, so you're okay with this situation. He says, Adventurers, my sorcerers have summoned you from the future to deal with a monster. It's called the Thessal Hydra, and it is powerful. I will give you 100 gold coins each to deal with it. Do you accept?
So we're apparently in ye olden times, and this isn't the first time. What happened to Stranger Things? During the character creation stuff, he was asking us what brought us to Hawkins, Indiana, the setting of the show. But now we're in Sir Tristan's castle? All of us, completely dumbfounded and struggling to come up with a satisfactory explanation in our minds, agree to deal with this Thessal Hydra.
Okay, Sir Tristan gives you each a magic bracer and a potion of healing, and the spooky gets a wand of magic missile.
Right. This definitely turned into D&D. We're all confused now, but maybe this is going somewhere. So, let's see how deep the rabbit hole goes. The GM said that we left Sir Tristan's castle and headed into the surrounding villages. He read us some flavor text about some folks going about their daily lives, then paused and said,
Do you want to interact with any of these characters?
No. Another pause.
Okay, so you guys travel through the forest for about half a day.
Wait, we have a van.
Oh, so you guys drive through the forest for half a day.
It's important to keep in mind that this guy was speaking in a dull monotone the entire time. Imagine all of this, but spoken in the most flat, boring tone possible. We arrived at the entrance to a cave, and are asked if we want to go inside. Of course we want to go inside. There's nothing else to do. And the GM started reading off flat, boring descriptions of various rooms that we entered, including the number of the area for some reason. Area 1 is made of stone. Area 2 is made of stone. Area 3 slopes downward, and the ceiling is dripping, and it's also made of stone. We haven't said a single thing, or made any rolls yet, and we've just cleared 3 rooms. This continued to be a running theme throughout the entire game. The GM just acting on autopilot, reading everything that happens without giving the players any kind of input beyond,
Do you want to go down the stairs? Do you want to go through the door?
etc., with a few exceptions including,
Okay, in Area 9, there is an owlbear. It's asleep. Everybody make stealth checks.
there's no such thing as stealth checks in MOTW, and I tell him as such, and say that there is instead a act under pressure.
Oh, okay. Everybody use that.
Everybody rolled, and 2 of us got 6 or lower. That's a failure.
Okay, everybody makes it to the next room. In there you see.
Wait, 2 of us failed.
Okay, so the owlbear wakes up and attacks. What do you do?
A couple of us shot at the owlbear with our modern firearms, and it ran away so we could keep exploring. This continued for a while, during which I quietly apologized profusely to my friends. Eventually, there was a cave-in behind us, and we arrived at
The unending labyrinth. It has no end. Do you want to go forward?
Sure. Our characters don't know it's endless.
Okay, you go forward for a while. You don't find an exit. You should turn around.
We only explored for about 2 minutes, and the path back was closed, so why would we, in character, turn around? After some deliberation, one of us decided to turn around.
You see a big ghostly knight floating there.
I'm pretty sure he just wanted us to turn around so that we would see the knight, and for no other reason.
The knight says, I will help you get out of here, but only if you answer my riddles.
As he started into the riddles, our werewolf decided that he had had enough, and just attacked the knight.
He ran away before you could hit him.
For pity's sake. At this point, nearly an hour and a half into the game, the GM picked up on the mood in the room and sped us along to the end. We found the Thessal Hydra and kill it within the same sentence. We got our gold and returned to the future. I think. He mumbled a lot on this part. He then offered to run a real Monster of the Week game, apologizing that his fusion experiment hadn't panned out like he'd expected. Gee, tossing MOTW characters with guns and cars into a D&D adventure full of knights and magic items didn't work? Who'da thunk? If you told me that this guy had never run a game in his life, I would have believed it. But he clearly had. Remember the X card and the historically accurate Victorian prostitute? We turned down his offer to play a real game, naturally. I actually ended up running one that evening at my place, after the hour-and-a-half drive back home. Just to show my friends that, no, MOTW is good actually. But in any case, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have a story that you'd like me to narrate, let me know. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.